What do you make of this situation? It strikes me that Sir Philip said something quite reasonable. Okay, forthright, but he made a good point. It's about an author called Kate Clancy. She wrote an Orwell Prize-winning book called Some Kids I Taught and What They Taught Me. She made references to the colour of some of her pupils' skin and said that the company of two autistic pupils, was jarring. And, I suppose that there was stuff in it. She's sort of apologised, probably for the same reason as Sir Philip apologised. But it strikes me, here we have it. We are self-censoring here. This is the cancel culture gone incestuous. We're cancelling ourselves. Sir Philip's cancelling what he said. The Society of Authors wanted him to cancel what he said. And all he's saying is that anyone who wants to cancel a book that hasn't read it would feel very at home in ISIS, which I think is true.
It's like a comedy of cancellation, Kevin.
Yes.
And you feel like it hasn't quite ended. This is an ongoing, metastasizing cancellation. So, as you say, I'm not sure that Kate Clancy said. I don't think she described two autistic children of colour as jarring. No.
She didn't say that. I didn't say that. She just said two autistic pupils were jarring company.
Yes, and I think she described a pupil of colour as having almond-shaped eyes, and another pupil of colour as having chocolate-coloured skin.
Correct.
And I think another pupil was described as African Jonathan. And these were, I think that, as far as I understand it, that is the sum of her crimes. And the book was published 2 years ago. As you say, it won the Orwell Prize for non-fiction. And 2 years later, the offence archaeologists, who must be getting bored, I guess, suddenly discovered on rereading this book, or sifting through it for the nth time, that it contained these supposedly outrageously racist passages, putting Kate Clancy on a par with the Ku Klux Klan, and decided to condemn her. So a storm erupted on Twitter. Her publisher, needless to say, immediately capitulated and thanked the offence archaeologists for drawing these terrible crimes to their attention, announced they were going to be withdrawing the book to give Kate Clancy an opportunity to rewrite it and excise the offending passages. And Kate Clancy then issued a statement saying how grateful she was to these online mobsters for forcing her publisher to take the knee, as it were, before them, and she was looking forward to this fantastic opportunity to rewrite her book, and then
it is a comedy, isn't it? It is a comedy.
It's a comedy of cancellation. Philip Pullman got dragged into it when he came to Kate Clancy's defence. This is a characteristic of these cancellations, is that, if the person who is being targeted by these pitchfork-wielding witchfinder generals, if you come to their defence, they swivel and immediately point the pitchforks at you to deter anyone else from coming to the defence of the poor witch they're about to burn. And Philip Pullman, rather bravely, but perhaps foolishly, I don't think he quite knew what he was letting himself in for, came to her defence. But in the course of coming to her defence, slightly overstepped the mark and compared these witchfinders to members of the Taliban. So then they all got completely outraged about the racism of Sir Philip. How dare he compare us to? Why did he reach for the Taliban? Is it because they too are people of colour? Another act of blatant racism on a par with the Ku Klux Klan. Immediately called for his cancellation. He then deleted the tweet, issued an even more grovelling apology than Kate Clancy's apology. The Society of Authors have which he's president, desperately tried to distance themselves from him, said they couldn't for a second excuse this blatant racism. I mean, it goes on, and no doubt someone will come to Sir Philip Pullman's defence, and they too will be turned on by this blood-crazed mob, who now, I imagine, have the bit between their teeth. I mean, it is just extraordinary, and one of the more comic aspects of all this, Kevin, is that both Kate Clanchy and Philip Pullman are sort of ultra liberals. You know, they're about short of actually being professors of African studies at the University of Essex. They're about as woke as you could possibly get. But one of the characteristics of these woke feeding frenzies is that they're often eating one another. They've run out of people like you and I to feast on. There's nothing left of our corpses.
Well, we've learned how to be careful, Toby, but probably we will have our day. Don't worry about that. But so basically, if we just boil it down to the essence of what he said that anybody who wants to cancel a book that they haven't read is ridiculous. Let's leave it at that. And I agree with that. To wit, the Society of Authors immediately issued a statement. Philip wrote his comments as an individual, not in the name of the Society of Authors. In other words, the Society of Authors kind of tacitly backs people who cancels books without reading them.
Yeah, I mean, beneath the comic surface of these events, there is something extremely sinister going on, which is that the publishing industry in this country and its assorted bodies, like the Society of Authors, have been completely captured by these Maoist, intolerant, censorious, woke mobsters. And they now call the shots. If they decide to whip up an outrage mob on Twitter to demand the cancellation of an author or a book, unless that author is J.K. Rowling, who is, I think, the richest woman in the UK after the Queen, you're toast. There's no courage, no backbone, no defence of free speech, no lip service even paid to the principles of liberalism. No, they're perfectly happy to immediately capitulate to these censorious, intolerant mobs. And that is really, really alarming. You would have hoped that the publishing industry and organisations like the Society of Authors would have been the last bastions of liberal values, prepared to stand up for free speech, unlike many other institutions. But no, they've been amongst the first to fall in the face of this onslaught by these witchfinders, and that really is sinister and depressing.
What are we going to do about this, Toby? The Free Speech Union does fine work, but every day in every way we get more and more examples of this censorious approach to life. The cancellation of people, cancel culture continues apace. What can we do?
Well, one thing you can do is you can stand up to these mobs and not do their bidding. One of the things we've discovered at the Free Speech Union is that if you push back, if you fight fire with fire, if you say, no, I'm not going to do what you ask, I don't care that you disapprove of my particular political points of view, and in any case, this identifying what this person has said as racist is an abuse of the term racist. It's nothing even remotely resembling what most people would understand as racism. If you stand up for them, if you push back, like most bullies, they will disperse. They'll run away and hide. That's what we've discovered, Kevin. And I think all we can do is continue to set that example, continue to show people that if you stand up to these bullies, they quite often will go away. And so hopefully encourage others to do the same.
Well, you do great work, Toby. I'm back you all the way, and thank you so much for your time, as always. Good to speak. Toby Young there, General Secretary of the Free Speech Union. I'm Kevin O'Sullivan, and this is Talk Radio.